French immigration to New England represents a significant chapter in the history of the region, reflecting broader trends in transatlantic migration and the economic, cultural, and social transformation of the 19th and early 20th centuries. Although overshadowed by larger immigrant groups such as the Irish and Italians, the French played a crucial role in shaping the identity of New England's communities. The majority of French immigrants to New England were from French-speaking Canada, primarily Quebec. This migration wave began in earnest in the mid-19th century and continued into the early 20th century. By the late 1800s, tens of thousands of French Canadians had settled in New England. Drawn by the promise of economic opportunity in the region's industrial economy, the primary driver of French immigration to New England was economic hardship in Quebec. Many French Canadians were subsistence farmers, and the limited arable land in Quebec made it increasingly difficult to support growing families. This scarcity, coupled with economic downturns and a lack of industrial development in the province, pushed many to seek better opportunities elsewhere. New England, with its rapidly expanding textile mills, shoe factories, and other industries, provided an attractive destination. New England's industrial cities, such as Manchester and Nashua in New Hampshire, Lowell and Fall River in Massachusetts, and Woonsocket in Rhode Island, became hubs for French-Canadian immigrants. These cities offered abundant jobs in mills and factories, albeit under grueling conditions. Immigrants worked long hours for low wages, often in hazardous environments. Despite these challenges, the promise of steady employment and the possibility of improving their family's circumstances kept the flow of French Canadians steady. The social and cultural impact of French Canadian immigration to New England was profound. Immigrants established tight-knit communities centered around their shared language, religion, and traditions. The Catholic Church played a pivotal role in these communities, serving not only as a place of worship, but also as a cultural and educational institution. Parishes and parochial schools helped preserve the French language and cultural identity, even as immigrants adapted to their new surroundings. One distinctive feature of French-Canadian communities in New England was the development of Little Canadas, ethnic enclaves within cities. These neighborhoods were characterized by their high concentration of French-speaking residents and their institutions, including churches, schools, and social organizations. Little Canadas provided a sense of familiarity and solidarity, helping immigrants navigate the challenges of life in a new country. Despite their contributions to the region's economy and culture, French-Canadian immigrants faced significant challenges, including discrimination and prejudice. Like other immigrant groups, they were often viewed with suspicion by the established Anglo-American population, who saw their language and Catholic faith as markers of foreignness. This tension sometimes led to efforts to suppress French language and culture, particularly in public schools where English language instruction was prioritized. Over time, the Franco-American community in New England began to integrate more fully into American society. By the mid-20th century, many descendants of French-Canadian immigrants had achieved economic stability and upward mobility. However, this process of assimilation often came at the expense of cultural preservation. The use of the French language declined as younger generations adopted English, and traditional customs were gradually replaced by mainstream American practices. The legacy of French immigration to New England remains evident today. Many towns and cities in the region still bear the imprint of their Franco-American heritage. In addition to their cultural contributions, Franco-Americans have played a significant role in the political and social life of New England. Prominent figures such as U.S. Senator Paul Tsongas and writer Jack Kerouac, whose family was of French-Canadian descent, exemplify the ways in which this community has shaped the broader American narrative. The story of French immigration to New England is a testament of the resilience and adaptability of immigrant communities. It highlights the challenges of maintaining cultural identity while striving for economic and social integration. Although the Franco-American population in New England is no longer as prominent as it once was, their contributions to the region's history and culture remain an integral part of its identity.